Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of According to Carlo. Another great group I have from the office. I have Karina Gonkowski here,
Hi.
Marisa Costa, and Michael Parsons. And Karina's been doing this business for 12 years?
13.
Oh, 13. Excuse me. I stand corrected. 13. And Marissa's 20 years.
20 years.
And, I've known Marisa since she was 4 years old. So 20 years in the business, you've done very well with it. And Michael is part of my generation.
That's great.
I'm 40 years. He's like 42 or 43 years. So this is a great group to have this awesome discussion with.
I just want to throw in there, the reason you've known me since I was 4 is because when you cut your teeth in the business, I had family also not just starting the business, but also already in the business.
I started with your grandfather and your Uncle Abel.
Correct.
Yeah, we started to, your grandfather was already there, Manuel, and your Uncle Abel is still a good friend.
Yes.
So that was pretty cool.
I have to tell you, I first met Carlo. I think we were, relatively in our 20s. Carlo was a one-man band, stumping it hard every day to make it go. And he made it go. But he's from the school of hard knocks like I was. And never give up. And that's Carlo's motto, never give up. Doesn't matter how tough it gets, keep going. And he's hands-on and he gets it. And that's why I'm in this office.
Michael's a little older than me, but I went to school. His younger brother, Tim, and I went to grade 7 and 8 together. Yeah, so we go way back. And I know, of course, his late father was a great man and a very important man in Mississauga. And so he taught us all how to do this business from the beginning.
And do it right.
Saw the podcast with your mom. It doesn't look like you worked that hard, to be honest.
Yeah, I told the editors to cut that part out about the golfing. Because I don't golf anymore, basically. But my mother would throw me under the bus and say, "Oh no, he's golfing," in case people were looking for me. So that wasn't. I told them, like I said, I told them to cut that out, but they obviously didn't listen to me. Okay, so guys, tell me, it's been a challenging time. The last 3 or 4 years have been quite challenging. Last year was probably one of the most challenging times we've had for quite a while. Mike and I, we won't discuss about the 90s because no one wants to hear about it, but Mike and I know about the early 90s. So, but let's talk about today's market. Tell me, I don't know who wants to go first, but tell me how you're finding today's market, and let's talk about 2026.
In my opinion, and a lot of people might not agree with me, this is a normal market. So, everybody's talking about, well, prices are dropping from what point? And I think media has a lot to do with what's going on at the moment. When we had the bubble and the prices went up 50% and now they dropped 30%, they adjusted. They didn't drop, they adjusted. And that's what people need to understand. But we don't see the headlines of saying it went up too high. We just see the headlines of them talking about it going too low. So in my opinion, this market is normal. The one we had before was anomaly. And that's just my opinion.
That's a great approach.
I absolutely agree with what Karina's saying. I feel that the market's moving. Good homes are selling at a good price, in my opinion. It's a reasonable, I consider it a correction. The homes and the market that we were dealing with and the prices was just unrealistic and in my opinion was unsustainable before, and it couldn't last. And so I do think this is a great market for buyers and for sellers.
It's funny, I did some research the other day. I was looking in the market today in the month of February in the Toronto Real Estate Board. There's 1,079 new listings. Prices are down 6.5%. But it's a buyer's market to a certain degree, and I agree with my colleagues. People are out there, and as a buyer's market, it's like there's relatively low inventory. There's lots of selection. There's no pressure. Yes, there's a few multiple bids. Well, these people are able to now work in an environment with their agent that was so difficult before, having 9, 10, 20 offers on a house. That's not a fun market, Carlo.
No, it's not. It's terrible.
It's terrible. It's so hard to work in. You don't want to make a mistake, and you want to be fair, but it's a real problem. So I think getting back to as the ladies have said, to a balanced market, like today, I think it's better. I think it's easier to work in, and I think people are getting fair dollar for their homes.
So what people call it, if I can just conclude, and Karina can add to this, but what you guys are telling me is that it might be challenging to some, but there's opportunities for others.
Absolutely.
So that's what we need to focus on.
And going back to the 90s, I had this conversation.
You weren't even born.
I was actually born in the 90s.
Okay.
So
I'm the 90.
90. So I was. But I had a conversation about it, and I always say, my broker record always, back in the 90s. But If we go to back in the 90s, people right now say, well, some complain about rates being too high and some complaining about prices not being high enough. Well, if you compare to the 90s, the rates are very cheap. If you compare back to the 90s, the prices are going up, you know? So it's not, it's all what you're comparing it to. And that's why I'm so strict in regards to, if you compare it to the bubble market that we had, of course, we're not doing that great, but don't compare. Live it, work with what we have right now and go based, go based on what we're working with now. So don't compare.
Agreed.
I have one of the mentors that I often talk to, and we talk about the current market conditions, where it's going. And he said something that resonated with me, and I never forgot it. He said, there's nothing in real estate that price won't cure. In other words, if it's priced right, it sells. And if it's not selling and it's sitting, there's a reason.
It's price.
And I think it's
So in other words, the buyers are there and they're waiting.
are there.
Buyers are there and they want it.
Yeah.
I think this market, what it does is it weeds out the professionals, or quote professionals, that aren't actually able to communicate with their clients. And so in this market, I think that if you have any sense of experience, you can effectively guide your clients, and everybody's going to be happy. You're going to get a great price on the sale end, and then on the buy, your buyers are going to be happy.
Put everything in context.
100%.
So let's talk about the conversations with your clients. Give us some examples of some of the hardest conversations you're having.
Why are you guys looking at me right away?
You know what?
Well, no.
One of the-
Hey, well, because you're, you're on an end. Okay, listen, I can start, but I'm in the middle.
One of the conversations that I have all the time is, there's those that want to sell, and there's those that want to sell for a price. And if they want to sell for a price, be prepared. If you're prepared to take care of them and babysit their listing, go ahead. But your time is much more productive. Dealing with motivated sellers, it's a lot easier because they're stuck on their price. You're just spinning your wheels. So go and focus and put your positive energy somewhere where you can make some income.
Yeah, pricing. Pricing, in my opinion, is always the hardest conversation, regardless if it's on the selling end or the buying end. And so sometimes sellers get stuck on prices, absolutely, and buyers as well. And so I think keeping them informed, showing them all the information, allows them to have confidence in saying, you know, the buyer's going to go, really based on everything that I've seen and all this information, I'm comfortable spending this, and explaining that to a seller who has felt that this has been a seller's market for so long that they've had this steering wheel on pricing and dictating that. And so, you know, kind of letting them know that's not the game we're playing anymore. So pricing is definitely probably the toughest conversations we have, but it's part of the job, right?
Yeah, I'd probably say that with buyers, one of the big challenges, and this is what a lot of people bring up, is what if? What if the prices go lower? What if the rates go higher? What if? So I don't like to base my business on what if. I'm basing it on a current situation, and we can't guess. I don't have a crystal ball, so it's hard to. We have these conversations, and some do understand this, some don't. Some hope for a miracle since 2014, hoping that the prices will go down. You know, it's all that. With sellers, it's the comparables, because we've always priced properties based on comparables. And there, over the past few years, the comparables changed, and it's hard to explain why your neighbor sold for this price, but you're not getting this price because the market changed. So I would say that probably would be one of the challenges, but people seem to understand. Not everybody, but they seem to understand, generally speaking.
Oh,
Okay, so you guys have been doing this for a long time. Tell us, let's get a little personal here. Tell us, you know, a mistake that you may have made early on in your career.
Oh, easy. I would take any business anywhere, and I just worked and figured I'd figure it out as I go. And that included, you know, overpriced listings, for example. You know, now you couldn't pay me to take a listing that I'm going to have to spend the next, you know, several months getting them to a price point that I think is a true value. But early on in my career, oh yeah, shit, you want to list at this? Sure, no problem. You're going to sign right here. Oh, great, I got a listing. I'm going to run with it. And I wanted to do the work, but that was definitely a big mistake, because it was a gross waste of time. I set poor expectations for the clients, and I definitely learned from that.
But you wouldn't be where you are today if you didn't go through that. And we've all done that.
Yeah, true.
Every one of us.
Yeah, just take everything.
No question about it.
There's an old expression. It's called list to last. And you look at people today. When we started, Carlo and I was 6%. Nobody negotiated. That was what we got paid. And you had to work for it. It was a lot of work. And you had to get those prices. You just had to sit on open houses. If any of the mistakes I made, I probably didn't have a system. We didn't have them in those days to put your leads and your contacts. It was all kind of in a binder. And you went to work and you pushed as hard as you could. And we were very successful at what we did, but there was no backup like what you see today to help you, assist you in that. And the other thing was, burnout, working too many hours every weekend. Success was not an option. A failure was not an option. I repeat, sorry, not success. Failure was not an option. You did whatever you had to do. And I competed with 3 other brothers at the time. So you can imagine what that was like. Carlo knows them all.
What? I don't make mistakes. Any other question?
Somehow I knew that was going to come from.
You know why she doesn't make mistakes? Because she cut her teeth in the business right here with you.
No, yeah, but
So
I was maybe more lenient back in the days. But I still ask you as many questions as I used to ask 13 years ago. I'm still as.
I know one mistake. Your own
Which
personal
one?
property. You priced it way too high and it didn't sell.
That's not a mistake. That's misjudgment, okay? That's not a mistake.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Call it for what it is.
So in our last episode, I asked some of our other realtors, and it's always a good question because I love to see people's perspective. What separates a good agent from a great agent?
communication. I think if a real estate professional such as us can communicate effectively, it really elevates the client experience and the profession, in my opinion.
And the number one complaint from people is usually communication.
It's usually, yeah, they don't get enough of it or it's not clear. And so learning how to communicate effectively, clearly, so that we are understood, I think really is that icing on the cake.
I always said that success, the definition of success is when opportunity and preparedness meet. You have to be ready. You have to be knowledgeable. I mean, it's even the simplest thing. You don't go to a car salesman in a showroom and look at a car that the agent or the salesperson knows nothing about. Product knowledge, key. 101 of real estate. You need to go and look at the product before you show it. How can I sell something to somebody that I've never seen? This doesn't bode very well considering the pay fee that you get for doing it. So I believe that product knowledge, opportunity, preparedness, and just being dialed in at the time is what's necessary to be successful.
I think, communication, but also one of the things that I see that's in the business that's an issue is respect. And it's not just respect for your clients, but respect for one another. And to me, it's huge. You have to respect people you work with. We're all in the same business. So I think respecting each other, respecting each agent working together, that's where we succeed.
Not just agents in your office, but of course your
everybody, absolutely everybody. You have to treat agents with respect. They're not your enemies. They work with you. We do the deal together. So I think that's one of important things to understand that.
If I can just expand on that, when I started in 1986, my broker, and that's one thing that he would say to us all the time in our meetings, he would say, the cooperating agent is your best friend.
Absolutely.
And treat them like your best friend, because the two of you need to work together to make that deal. And that is so true. And unfortunately, we just hear a lot of stories today where that's not the case.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's right in the definition. We're called cooperating agents. We're supposed to cooperate to service the public. And so sometimes that does get lost, but I fully agree with your point.
Okay, so for 2026, given what we've been through the last 2-3 years, tell us one thing that you guys are going to do to make you a little more successful this year.
I think I'm very, I'm trying to push social media through a little bit more. I started doing podcasts, same as, you're doing. I think that's very useful because when you speak and people listen not just to those pre-printed prints, but they hear your opinion, they see your point of view, I think that matters and it attracts more people to you, to the business. So probably out of all things, that's the only thing that I'm working on to push more.
I hate to be the person that's very agreeable here, but 20 years in the business, I've been fighting the social media, the online.
Tell me about it.
Right. I totally understand that, but my approach is, yeah, that's what the public looks for nowadays. And so even if they get a referral, which to me, I love all my referrals. Um, what are the people doing? They're going online and they're going, well, what's this person about? It's not good enough that their good friend said, hey, I've worked with Marisa and she's fantastic. They're going to go, well, what's Marisa all about? And so I- I'm going to add that as like my resume and really start working on showcasing who I am on an online platform such as this. This is a great example of that.
Great answer.
I think one of the things that we seem to forget is that the real estate business is a communications business. It's all about communicating, whether you're social media, whether you're one-on-one. Carl, you and I have been around long enough to know that sometimes people just need to see you. You need to drop in and visit. You need to see how they're doing. It's the down to earth, I'm here to check and see how you are. That resonates with a lot of people. Some of them don't go on social media, the older folks. Not suggesting all their clients are older, but that speaks volumes, in my opinion.
So that's one thing that's never changed.
Never changed.
And it won't. And that won't. Even if you do the online, we're in a relationship. We build relationships. We have to nurture that.
But you attend to your clientele, of course, and it depends on, everybody's different age. So if we're talking about, it's all about different age groups. So you try to attend
To all of them.
each separately, right? To the
Yes.
younger ones, you go through social media. To somebody of age, it's better to come in, knock on their door, bring them a flower or something. So of course, it's just a different kind of.
Well said.
So you guys are all very experienced. So I'm going to now ask a question. And that is, what is it about Royal LePage Realty Plus that keeps you here and keeps you interested in being here?
I say two things. One, you.
Oh,
And I think it needs to be clarified, by the way, too. Even though we've known each other almost my whole life, I actually didn't join Realty Plus until 10 years ago. So in the first 10 years of my business, I tried different brokerages. It was, I think timing is everything. And I did end up with Carlo at the perfect time, and I'll never leave. So you're a great leader. I think you give great advice. You really help people elevate their professionalism. And then the other part is the community here. You've built this great group of professionals that we all do come together very nicely. We work well. And so those are the two things. One, you're a great leader. Two, the community you've built here. I'm never going anywhere.
Not all, you're pushing it, but majority, yes.
Oh, come on, girl. Yes. Well, there's a little bit of everybody to make the
I knew
world
that
go
was
round.
coming.
One of the things, if I can say, I've been very involved in the community over the years, sitting on many boards. I sit on 3 charity boards. And when the name Carlo Rassiopo comes up, and it comes up a lot because Carlo's very active in our city, there's an element of respect that goes with that name.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
I agree with
that weighs very heavily when you go to present a proposition to somebody and they say, where do you work? Carlo's a former president of the board. He's a former president of the Toronto board.
No,
A director of the Toronto Real Estate Board. He's involved with RICO. So it's you're getting this value added here that you don't get in other brokerages. And I can tell you, if there's a problem, he's a phone call away.
Mhm.
And I mean that. Somebody will get back to you here, one of the managers, and there's no room here for any error or any nonsense. If you don't fit in the mold, you don't work here. Simple as that. And I really like that.
Agreed.
Well, as I said before, I don't make mistakes, but you're a big part of why I don't make them. I came in, I was very young, and you led by example. You pushed me a lot. You know my charming personality, so you knew exactly how to deal with me. So I do appreciate your support, and that's one of the biggest. I've always told you, I'm loyal to the brand, but I'm loyal to my broker record. And the second part, it would be our staff. I love them. I absolutely love them. As supportive as they are, the amount of times they saved me, literally saved me when I had no time. And these girls pick up and they're there to do anything and everything for you and jump hoops and loops just to help you out. And I can't thank you enough for those girls. So those are the two things for me.
Here. The staff is
They are absolutely.
yeah, staff is
Thank you for that.
fantastic.
So look, let's wrap this up. Thank you all very much for being here. All 3 of you have offices here, so I get to see you guys a lot. And so you're very much a part of the culture and a part of the things that you just mentioned, because without you, let's face it, no matter how many compliments you can give me. Without you guys, I don't have anything.
Absolutely.
Of course, she has to make that point, of course. But, you know, we're still doing a lot of things to make 2026 and beyond always better. We have some new initiatives. We have some new coaching initiatives. We have some new training initiatives. We renovated the office to make it more comfortable for you. We have a great new manager in our Oakville operation. So we're constantly growing, constantly increasing the value prop to our agents. And it's people like you that I can call on to help me with that verification of what we're doing is correct, because you guys have been doing it for a long time and you're a huge part of this office. So thank you all for being here and being on this podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.